cost of living is out of control. Let's talk about it. The federal government is telling anyone who will listen that they have legislated tax cuts for everybody.
Today I announce that from the 1st of July this year, our government will deliver a tax cut for every single Australian taxpayer.
Treasurer Chalmers gave some rousing speeches in Parliament explaining that these much publicised Stage 3 tax cuts were the government's answer to the cost of living crisis. See, we are doing something, they shouted from the rooftops. The fact that the tax cuts amount to around $15 a week for most people was not really mentioned by anyone from Labor. What does $15 get you? A coffee and a sandwich? Maybe not even that. That's about it. They also don't talk about the fact that people need cost of living relief right now, and that the tax cuts don't take effect until mid-next year. Oh, and $15 a week means you're simply getting back a fraction of what you lost in spending power under the Albanese government over the past 18 months due to rampant inflation, which is obviously where the purchasing power of your money reduces. You spend more, but you buy less.
Let's get a bit more into the cost of living crisis then, Christy, and this report today that says on average households have got about $10,000 a year less to spend on non-essentials at the moment because of the cost of living crisis.
I'm sure you've noticed when you've gone to the shops and filled up your trolley. Thanks for less than nothing, Mr. Albanese. Thank you for less than nothing, Labor. But the real story was that while the government was promising to give people back money via a tax cut months from now, they were taking away people's money via an increase in the fuel tax, effective immediately.
One of the things, of course, that they should be doing is to cut petrol prices. Why? Because 50 cents, 49 to be absolute about it, but 49 cents per litre is the amount that you pay in taxation. That is extraordinary. Not in the dollar, but in the litre. Right now, petrol prices, well, all over $2. Here's the latest numbers, which come from Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane. Remember, the toys being thrown out of the cot by Anthony Albanese pretending to care about this when it was $1.75. Scott Morrison doesn't know what's going on. Well, what the hell does he say about $2.24 right now for normal unleaded in Brisbane? You could make it a little bit cheaper by cutting the amount of tax, Prime Minister. But of course, you have no interest in doing that, do you? Because it's decided by... No, it's decided by you. Ridiculous.
As the good book says, elbow giveth and elbow taketh away. Blessed be the name of Peter Dutton. But it's even worse than you might imagine. The government taxes your fuel, and then get this, the government taxes that tax. Yes, you heard me right, it's a double tax. Here's how it works. The federal government charges a fuel excise on every litre of fuel you buy, and then charges GST on that excise amount. It's literally a tax upon a tax. The fuel excise is currently 49.6 cents per litre plus GST of 10% on the excise. So that meant that you were paying 54.56 cents per litre to the government. A third of your total fuel bill is tax. And there you were thinking the evil Woolworths or Coles service station was pocketing all the money. But wait, with the Albanese government, there's always more. Here's the kicker. The fuel tax is indexed. That means it increases every 6 months in line with inflation. So it's always going up and up and up and up. Kind of like Airbus elbow. He's always up, up and away. Fuel excise indexation means that as inflation goes up and your spending power goes down, the government hits you for more taxes. And they do it while stroking your arm, assuring you that they really do care about the cost of living crisis.
Everything they can do on cost of living, they are planning to do, right? Well, no. Because we learned today that the government has ruled a line under doing anything as significant as giving you $15 a week back of your own money. In fact, the tax cuts are the front and centre of the policy, and that's it. So all the things they could do? We're pulling every lever we possibly can? Well, apparently not.
Want to hear something that would be hilariously funny if it wasn't so bad? While indexation applies to government fuel excise, it does not apply to income tax brackets. The tax brackets remain static as the cost of living increases. This means that as your income increases, you get pushed into higher and higher income tax brackets, even though, because of inflation, you effectively have less and less money and you can buy less and less. This is why I say that tax is theft, and it's difficult to argue otherwise. You'd have to be a hardcore Marxist not to agree with this simple concept. Governments sure know how to legally steal from taxpayers now, don't they? Now, one more thing that you really need to know about the fuel excise that you're currently paying, first at the Bowser, then obviously through the nose, is that the money goes into the federal government's general revenue, which is then drawn upon to fund transport infrastructure. So they justify the excise by saying it's a contribution that you, as a motorist, makes to maintaining our roads systems. Fair enough. Except EV drivers don't use petrol and so never pay a fuel excise. And who drives EVs? Well, if you guessed government ministers like Minister Chris Bowen, give yourself a pat on the back. Or maybe give yourself an uppercut instead. Why do we vote for these jokers? I'm Senator Ralph Babette for the United Australia Party.